afternoon, New Brunswick. Welcome to the New Brunswick Today show. For today is Friday, November 18th. I'm Charlie Cradaville. I'll be your host. We've got a great show for you. Our guest today is Daniel Nee. He's the founder and editor of shorebeat.com, home to hyper-local coverage of Ocean County. And TGIF, it's another beautiful day, beautiful Friday day here in downtown Hub City. It's 55 degrees and sunny. The high today is 68. The low is going to be 45, and that's according to weather.com. We've got two road closures for you today here in New Brunswick. Livingston Ave is closed between New Street and George Street. That's down to one lane, actually, from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. And starting at 8 p.m. tonight, the northbound side of Route 27 is going to be reduced to a single lane between Quentin Ave and Sanford Street, and that's until 6 a.m. tomorrow. It's been a big week here in New Brunswick. On Wednesday, Rutgers University's campus erupted in a massive pro-immigrant protest, one that drew attention from national and local media outlets as well as onlookers and our own sizable audience on social media. It was the latest in a series of coordinated actions that have taken aim at the policies of President-elect Donald Trump. These protests have focused on immigration, sending the message loud and clear with a simple, catchy chant, quote, "No hate, no fear, immigrants are welcome here." The protests also appeared to fold in other key issues where the local community disagrees with Trump and his policies, with some of the other chants taking aim at Trump's views on abortion rights, gay rights, climate change, other issues. Still, other chants paid homage to the Black Lives Matter movement and even to the struggle of Native Americans fighting against a pipeline planned for Standing Rock, North Dakota. So on Wednesday, thousands of students walked out of class, gathering at the Voorhees Mall before taking to the streets and marching through downtown New Brunswick. Now, we will have more New Brunswick Today team coverage on our website later today. You can also see a couple of our live broadcasts that we did from the demonstration on the New Brunswick Today Facebook page. But that's not our top story today. Just about an hour after that massive protest broke up, sparks were flying over in the 4th Ward at New Brunswick's Housing Authority meeting. Now, the Housing Authority and New Brunswick Today have a history. New Brunswick Today started aggressively covering the public agency last summer, and fairly quickly, 2 of the board's 7 members resigned after I called one of them violating a city ordinance that requires Housing Authority board members to live in New Brunswick. So in February, I caught the Housing Authority illegally overcharging their low-income tenants by leveling thousands of dollars in extrajudicial parking fines, some of which were way more than parking fines anywhere else in New Brunswick. They stopped issuing those improper fines and eventually refunded more than $2,000 in the overcharges to their tenants. And later in February, I filed a lawsuit against the Housing Authority after they repeatedly violated New Jersey's Open Public Records Act and refused to provide records that should be public. And on Monday, right across the street at the Middlesex County Courthouse, Judge Travis Francis mentioned that there was, quote, an untenable set of circumstances at the authority after the agency admitted it had deleted a video that I had requested under the Oprah law, and it actually failed to respond in any way within the time frame required by that law. So that means the Housing Authority Board had not one, but at least 2 reasons to be in a bad mood on Wednesday night. The other reason, well, perhaps overshadowing all else at this meeting on Wednesday, was the uncertainty over the future of this country under its next president, Donald Trump. While most officials in this Democratic stronghold are less than pleased with the outcome of that November 8th election, the New Brunswick Housing Authority is a federally funded agency and therefore has the most to lose in this uncertain political environment. Now, at this meeting, we learned that the federal government, and therefore the NBHA, is only funded through a continuing resolution that expires in less than a month, on December 9th, well before Trump is even set to take office. And the board, as the board questioned John Clark about the future of the agency, he's the executive director, Mr. Clark said that he was, quote, not a political person, and instead characterized himself as a soldier. An odd choice of words for someone who is ostensibly the leader of a public agency. Now, I've been attending every NBHA meeting for more than a year, and sometimes my questions, or the board's answers, or the board's lack of answers, can lead to heated confrontations. Ever since lead was found in the water at McKinley Community School, which is right next to the NBHA's largest housing project, I've been encouraging the NBHA board to test the drinking water in their own buildings. I've been bringing this up repeatedly, asking about it at nearly every meeting since May, when the school district first admitted to the lead contamination it had found. Now, like many of the other issues I've brought up at these meetings, the board has resisted my questions, resisted New Brunswick Today, and our calls for improvements. I couldn't help but notice this past meeting that the board members were drinking bottled water at the meeting. And so I asked a simple question. I asked, why weren't they drinking the tap water? Apparently, I wasn't the only member of the public that's concerned about the issue of the water in Schwartz-Robeson. Take a look at how this conversation went. I noticed that the board members are drinking bottled water. I don't mean to be confrontational. Is there a reason that you're drinking bottled water and not the tap water from this building?
Any other comment?
Water.
Yeah. Any other comment?
Is there a reason you're not drinking the tap water here?
Because I'm thirsty.
Where are you going with this?
Well, I'm following up on my previous, I've brought up several meetings now, and I keep striving to get answers about the water testing here.
Chairman, can I answer that question?
No. This is a comment. Next comment.
I just want to know, why won't you test the water in Schwartz-Robeson? I mean, they're finding lead. It's very bad for vulnerable people, especially children. They found it in the school right next to Schwartz-Robeson. Why won't you test the water in Schwartz-Robeson?
Okay, any other comment?
I'd like an answer to my question.
I wish somebody would answer that one, because our water don't taste good and it's been tearing my stomach up. And that's why I drink bottled water. I've been fussing with City Hall about it for the past 10 years. How our water been tasting down here. We used to have some of the best water in New Brunswick. Now all of a sudden it tears my stomach up. I buy bottled water every day. So somebody needs to comment on it. Somebody needs to mention something about it. Somebody needs to jump on this, because if they find it over there at the school, they're going to find it over here.
Chairman, there was 2 council meetings that Charlie asked the same question, and the water director answered his question in 2 council meetings, and he was satisfied there. Now he's bringing this game over here again, and he mentioned, you can go back to his video, and he mentioned Schwartz-Robeson and Robeson Village in regards to the testing. He was there twice with the water director. The water director gave it a clean bill of health. Now he's here. He's here just for a story. So you need to go back to the water director again and ask him again.
Okay.
Who's the water director's name?
The water director's name is Mark Lavenberg.
Because I got to call him.
Any other comments?
Just to respond, I don't believe I said I was satisfied
And he also
with
went to the Board of
the
Education
outcome.
with the same question as well.
Darn right. I went to the county too, and I've been talking to Rutgers about it too. But I'm just saying, do you have kids living here? Do you have vulnerable people living here? Then you should test the water. It makes perfect sense, and I have not gotten a reasonable answer from this board why you won't.
Okay, any other comment?
And welcome back to the New Brunswick Today show. That was just the latest shenanigans from the New Brunswick Housing Authority. You can watch the full video from that wild NBHA board meeting on our website and our YouTube channel. Plus, check out our article on the latest board member to leave that embattled agency at newbrunswicktoday.com. Now, if you haven't gotten our latest issue of New Brunswick Today's free bilingual print edition, make sure you grab one today. It's available all over Middlesex County in the big blue boxes that you'll see in New Brunswick, also Highland Park and Perth Amboy. It's available at many great businesses as well. Now, we are the only independent bilingual community newspaper, and we depend on our readers to keep this going. And for a limited time, you can actually subscribe to the New Brunswick Today bilingual print edition for just $5 a month. You get New Brunswick Today mailed to your home twice a month, anywhere in the United States of America. Just visit members.newbrunswicktoday.com to become a member today. Again, just $5. We'll take whatever you can give to keep us going. We really need the support, and we really appreciate that support from our audience. Now, there was just so much that went down in this New Brunswick Housing Authority meeting. We are not going to be able to sum it up. There's going to be some articles coming out, but as we pointed out in our most recent article, the board was actually forced to cancel its October meeting because it didn't have enough members present to conduct business. And at this meeting, we also learned that a questionable expenditure that was passed in September, we thought was passed in September for new porch railings at that housing project, actually failed to pass. And a fact that was not acknowledged at the time by the board or the professional staff there. And we also learned that NBHA Executive Director John Clark still has not given the board a full report on that parking scandal that we exposed, as he had promised to do half a year ago. And we also learned so much more. As has happened in the past, the board ended the meeting prematurely, cutting off my own remarks because they didn't like what I was saying. It kind of devolved into a shouting match afterwards, and there's some more you'll be hearing about that, but that's not what's most important. Perhaps the most important thing about this week's Housing Authority meeting was that New Brunswick Today wasn't the only ones there pushing the board to do a better job. This time, 2 other members of the public, including a longtime Housing Authority employee, came out to speak up at that meeting. Richard Sweeney, who called himself a product of the projects, is my new hero. Sweeney worked for the Housing Authority until earlier this year. He was universally respected among the residents of the city's public housing, and he was well known for playing Santa Claus every December at the agency's annual holiday celebration. We noticed Sweeney hadn't been seen around for some time, and so we asked whether he still worked at the authority during their September meeting. And now, after Sweeney heard his name mentioned when he watched New Brunswick Today's video of that board meeting, it inspired him to show up at Wednesday's board meeting. It's the first time he's been there in recent memory. Now, Sweeney loves kids. He's, now that he no longer works for the Housing Authority, he came to speak up for the children that live in Schwartz-Robeson. That's the city's largest public housing complex. After thanking the board and Clark for the chance to work there, he asked a tough question. He asked about a learning center in Schwartz-Robeson, one that the authority had closed down years ago. And Sweeney asked them what could be done to bring back that program, which is in the Scott Holman building in Schwartz-Robeson. Here's what Sweeney had to say, and here's how that conversation went.
I've seen this work when I worked here. And, there's nothing better than a learning center for the kids that live in this community. I've seen it work where they were doing homework, they were learning computers, and they got involved in it. And I've seen it with my own eyes. And I'm losing my words here, but it really gets me here that, money being wasted and a learning center, which used to be a deplorable laundry room and a hangout, and it became a learning center. I mean, I don't know if you guys know me, but I do play at Christmas time a certain person, but I don't want to say it.
He may or may not, if any kids are watching.
In case any kids are watching this program like I did for the most years.
He's a helper. He's a helper, let's just say.
I really care about the kids,
Right.
And, I'm a product of the projects.
That's right.
I grew up in Jersey City, in Curry's Woods. I don't, we came out of the projects, but, I came full 360. I grew up in the projects. I lost my job in the projects. But I commend Mr. Clark. He's a professional. He knows a lot about the housing. He's very good. His employees. I can't say that the same for others, but I'm really concerned with this learning center because I like to see these kids learn instead of just hanging out and doing nothing. Because when you hang, see, I'm a believer. You keep kids involved, you wind up a productive citizen. I did it myself with my own kids. I became a president of a league in Edison, just to, for kids, and that's my weakness is kids. And some of the kids that I see sit on my lap when I play that certain person, they're beautiful kids. They're innocent souls, and I just want to see them. Because you can't. Everything is in school. The teacher can't teach you everything. You know, when you get home, it's your parents, it's you know, it's society, whatever. But I really like to see this come back. I mean, somehow, some way, whether it's a DCA, CBG, whatever grant is out there, because, you know, I'd rather see something like that than something for sports or whatever, even though the NFL has a big hit this year in the ratings, you know. But, you know, really, that's another reason I really came here tonight, in addition to seeing my name being mentioned. And I would just like to, again, thank Mr. Clark for giving me the opportunity to work for housing. I worked in New Brunswick for 35 or better years. I worked for, at one time I worked at the tallest building in New Brunswick, the Colony House. And then I went to work for Borite Development, and I was there for 20 years. Then I had a situation happen with me, and I just needed a change, and I got a word that it was being posted, and Mr. Clark hired me. The first time. Then I went to the Highland Park Housing Authority, then Dan Toto, which talked me into coming back. And it's a shame I got injured, because I really enjoyed working here, and I enjoyed the people. They appreciate it. You know, when people show you appreciation, there's nothing better. Right. You know. But again, I'd like to thank everybody, and
Thanks, Rich.
good luck.
Thank you very much.
And welcome back. Thanks again to everybody who came out to that Housing Authority meeting, Gretchen Spencer and Richard Sweeney. You better believe New Brunswick Today is going to keep digging into this Housing Authority and fighting for the people here in New Brunswick. Their next meeting is December 21st at 6:45 p.m. If you want to join us, please. The more the merrier. That meeting is going to be held at the Schwartz-Robeson Community Center, which is at 7 Van Dyke Avenue here in New Brunswick. But that's assuming, of course, enough board members show up for them to be able to have the meeting. Now, our guest today is Daniel Nee. He's the founder and editor of ShoreBeat.com, a hyper-local website. And while we bring him in studio, let's take a look at this videos from when Dan launched his very first hyper-local site in Bricktown. We'll be right back with Mr. Nee after this. Hi everyone, I'm Daniel Nee here at Brick Beach 3. Many of you know me as the founding editor of Brick Patch, but today I'm here to introduce you to a new website called Brick ShoreBeat.
I created ShoreBeat to give local residents here in Brick the news they care about most. What happened at the school board or council meeting last night? What's being built on that vacant lot? How are our neighbors and their friends affected by Superstorm Sandy recovering?
In 2010, I stood across the street at Bayview Park making a similar welcome video. Now, 4 years and many changes later, it's clear that Brick residents are hungry for in-depth, quality reporting on their town. That's what I hope to accomplish with this brand new website. Thanks for watching, keep reading, and I'll be seeing you around town soon. And welcome back. We're now joined by Daniel Nee, founder and editor of ShoreBeat.com. Thanks so much for coming on the program.
Happy to be here, thank you.
So tell us, how'd you get involved in journalism? How'd you end up starting your own hyperlocal site, then starting another?
Right. Well, it was an interesting journey. The start in journalism began one summer when I had no summer job in college, and there was a little ad in our local newspaper in Long Beach Island saying summer reporters wanted. So I tried it for the summer. I loved it and ended up going into journalism after that. I worked for a weekly newspaper in Monmouth County. Then the Press of Atlantic City. I ran a fishing magazine, and then I was all over the state with Patch.com before they kind of went under. And right from there, I started ShoreBeat.com in Ocean County. We initially started with one site in Brick Township, and now we still cover Brick. We have another site, Lavalette Seaside, which covers our Barrier Island communities, and we're about to launch our third in Toms River.
Well, congratulations! That sounds like a success story. We really appreciate local coverage. You know, there's just not enough of that. You can find tons of national coverage. You can find a lot of statewide coverage. But, you know, the real on-the-ground, hyper-local coverage is so important to these communities. So tell us, you know, how has this experience been? You know, what year did you start doing it?
We started ShoreBeat in August 2014, the original Brick site, and we started the Lavalette Seaside site in August of 2015.
Okay, so tell us, what have been the big issues in those communities? What is a lot of your coverage focused on?
Sure. Well, first, it's 4 years later, but Sandy recovery is still a massive, massive issue. It's people statewide sometimes don't realize it, but there are still thousands of families out of their homes. There are all kinds of issues with new flood maps and zoning and building standards that are raising the cost of construction. And just general, disputes with insurance companies and the government and FEMA. It's all really come together, and when you add that to a sluggish economy and a seasonal economy on its own, it's become a really, really difficult time for people.
Yeah, so tell us, how has your coverage, shined a light on the issues and the sort of the kind of struggle of people who are still suffering from Sandy? Tell us what did you help to shine a light on, or what kind of stories stuck out to you?
Sure. Well, actually, literally today, we have a story on the People's Pantry, which is a food pantry that sprung up in the weeks following Sandy, and it has now actually turned into a full-time operation. 4 years later, they have 6,000 clients a month, and
wow.
For the most part, all of their clients there are Sandy victims. What they're finding is it's very difficult because people are out of their homes. There's no more FEMA money. There isn't any more assistance. And what's ending up happening is people are paying mortgages and property taxes on a property they can't live in, and then they have to pay rent on top of that. And it's a really terrible situation because at the same time, their income is too high to qualify for food stamps and other assistance programs. So these are people who are really unlikely folks to go to a food pantry, but they're being forced to go there because they can't make ends meet, and it's a situation that doesn't seem to be resolving itself.
Right, a lot of sad stories still going on 4 years after the fact. Tell me, what did folks there think of Governor Christie, his response to it? I know he famously fought to get federal funding for, to deal with the aftermath of the storm, but a lot of folks weren't happy about where some of that money went, who got the money first, what the rules were, and how the government really administered it. What do people on the ground think in your communities?
Well, I think it depends on who you talk to, because you could talk to one person who got a $150,000 grant to rebuild their house, and they think the government did everything great, and then you could speak to another person literally next door who thinks the old 8 scariest words in the English language were from the government and here to help. So it really depends on who you ask for. I think the opinion of Christie in the Shore community reflects the opinion statewide. I mean, he's not the most popular person out there, and I think among residents feel as if the state focused too much on rebuilding boardwalks and giving grants to businesses and left a lot of the residents behind. And I think that's a recurring opinion among local residents.
Gotcha. And another issue that's complicating all this and really, as you put it, ground zero for the issue is opiate addiction, pain pill addiction, heroin addiction, claiming a lot of lives in Ocean County and really presenting a public health crisis. What types of coverage have you done of this issue, and what do you think? Where are we at with this?
Right. Well, we've done a lot of stories on this topic. We actually sat in on the training for Narcan. Ocean County has the dubious distinction of being the first county in the state to administer Narcan, which is a reversal drug to reverse overdoses.
Treat people who've been
right,
overdosed.
And that's now distributed to every police officer, every EMT, and they're using it multiple times a day to literally bring people back from the dead. We've spoken to families where people are overdosing a few days before their high school graduation, and it's one tragedy after another, and yet at the same time they're all very similar in nature. And it's a situation where I think Ocean County, especially in the Shore area, is a microcosm of, ironically, a lot of kind of the blue collar Midwestern type areas where jobs are scarce and people feel a sense of almost misery and hopelessness in a way. And while some people obviously do well, there are a lot of people who feel as if they're left behind, and unfortunately, they turn to substance abuse, and I think we're seeing that a lot more often, and it's tough to figure out because it's such a macro problem.
Right.
And it's tough to deal with that on the state or local level.
Yeah, there's not really a clear solution. I'm curious what you've found in your reporting as far as solutions go. This Narcan's obviously kind of like a stop the bleeding type thing. It's a last ditch kind of thing.
Right.
But what are the macro level kinds of solutions that are being tossed around? What do you think might benefit Ocean County and New Jersey when it comes to this?
Well, I think jobs and investments in the economy are probably going to be the biggest factor, because I think when people have a good job, a good future, something to feel good about, something to get up in the morning and be proud of, I think they're probably less likely to turn to substance abuse. So I think we need, at the state level, I think we need to really encourage investment in local communities, bring companies and employers back to New Jersey, and I think that would go a long way to helping solve the problem. In the shorter term, we probably need to invest some way or another, whether it's through a public-private partnership, a nonprofit, in recovery programs. Because a lot of times people who are addicted, they don't have medical insurance, they can't get into a program, and there just aren't any available.
Very hard habit to kick. You need help from others usually. Yeah.
And I think it's very difficult for people to even start getting better. So I think those two things, one's a short term and one's a longer term, but I think both of those, if we could figure out some way of putting them in place, would likely go a long way to helping the problem.
Interesting. And how do you feel about how we got here? What's the cause of this? There was I guess in the 90s it was very common for doctors to be prescribing a lot of pain pills. And tell us how we got from those maybe errors to a full-blown public health crisis.
Yeah, I think one thing that's been identified is actually that we're starting younger and younger and younger. Kids are playing a lot more sports, they're involved in a lot more activities, and doctors would begin prescribing young people some of these pills. And unfortunately, what ended up happening is they've identified that a lot of young people are having chronic injuries rather than one-off instances where you might need some painkillers. So it's starting, unfortunately, younger, and maybe they haven't sought the best solutions to chronic pain and some of the injuries that people are sustaining, and it's snowballed. And when the government, the DEA, cracked down on doctors prescribing pills, unfortunately, that led to many people switching to the illegal substances to replace them.
Right, very similar substances and cheaper as well. So
absolutely, they estimate it's down to $4 a dose.
Wow,
for heroin in our area.
Well, very serious problem, and the coverage you're doing is very important to explore solutions and make people aware of the problem. A lot of times, if there's not coverage, people aren't thinking about it, people aren't working towards solutions. So it's very important work you're doing. But I also want to talk about some good stuff from your, there's certainly a lot to complain about, a lot of important issues to focus on critically. But, you started these websites because you love your, the area that you come from. So tell us, what do you love about the shore, and what are some of the sort of the favorite things that you've gotten a chance to cover on these sites?
Well, it's funny, if you grow up in the shore area, it's a really funny thing is that, if you have people applying for jobs out of state or somewhere else, they'd rather go to Florida or San Diego than just Philadelphia, because it's a real attachment you have to the water, to boating and fishing and surfing and swimming, and it just becomes such a pervasively important part of your life that you really can't get it out of your blood. So that's kind of where I find myself. So just as far as living at the shore today, Some of the great things are we actually are seeing some really nice redevelopment going on. Seaside Heights in particular is shedding the Jersey Shore MTV image, and they're bringing in a lot of really great new development. They're trying to get the economy on track, turn the community into more of a family area, and they've had a ton of success doing this in recent years, thanks to a rarity in New Jersey, which is really great local leadership, and they've done a remarkable job in doing that. Asbury Park is another success story. We don't cover Asbury Park, but the way that city has turned around, it's the nightlife capital, great restaurants, really nice beach, nice development. So I think in those ways, I think we can actually use public policy to the betterment, and we're seeing that in these shore communities. And Seaside Heights is probably going to be the next really, really great place in New Jersey.
Interesting. Well, that's very exciting. Now, how can people connect with you guys? You're on Facebook. You've got shorebeat.com. And how are you trying to connect with your readers?
Well, sure. There's shorebeat.com, obviously, and you go there, and there are links to our Brick site and our Lavalette Seaside site. Facebook, you can go to Brick Shorebeat or Lavalette Seaside Shorebeat, and you can follow our articles from there. What's really nice is a lot of people, especially who visit during the summer or own vacation homes in our area, it's a nice way for them to keep connected year-round. If they come back up north or go down to Florida for the winter, they like to keep up with what's going on. So we've had a great response from our readers in that respect, and we're kind of one of the few people covering these communities, and it's been very well received.
That's wonderful. Congratulations on your success. Good luck with the Toms River site. That's a big town to take on, and a town with a lot of interesting history. I'm sure you're up to speed on it, and I wish you luck with that. Everybody, please make sure you keep reading New Brunswick Today and shorebeat.com. We're going to be working together and wishing you well. Please tune in next week. We're going to have some more great shows. We're still unpacking the results of this election. We're going to have more coverage later today on the website about that huge protest earlier this week. And so stay tuned to the New Brunswick Today Facebook page. Check out our print edition if you haven't gotten it yet. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. And we're going to leave you with the footage from that protest on Wednesday. Thanks again, Dan, for joining us.
Thanks, Sean.
Take care.